introduction of Elmen. Elmen Lamprecht is an HR technology analyst and virtual HR expert. His career spans over 15 years with in-depth HR experience in human resources, talent acquisition, and attraction. He is the full founder of two exciting HR tech companies, which are 3 Degrees Tech and Kobo People Analytics. Welcome, Elmen.
Hello, everyone. Habari. It's good to speak with everyone. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And I've been enjoying the chat so much, like everybody else, and I hope you can enjoy the next session. So I'm going to jump into it. Tayo, I think if you can just help me with the technology in the beginning. I'm going to share my screen. If you can then just share sound. Confirm that you guys can see this. I just want to go into.
Yes, I can see your slides.
Yeah, I just want to. There we go. Quality of my voice is fine. Quality of everything is fine. We can go ahead, right? I'm just confirming. Quality, you can hear me, you can see me, we can go on.
Yes, we can. I can hear you and I can see you very well.
Okay, perfect. Everyone, this is looking at some of the comments that we had. I think that this one is going to be quite exciting. And when Ayar and everybody approached me to talk about engagement and use of technology in a new hybrid workplace model, I'm quite excited about what I'm going to share with you today. But in the Q&A in the chat, maybe in the chat rather, I want to ask you one question, and we can make this a very interactive session today. And Tayo and Ayan, please take a look at the chat for me. But there's one question before we go ahead. Okay, I want to ask you as HR professional, why is employee engagement important? So if we are chasing employee engagement, why is it important? So if you can maybe in the chat, I'm going to keep an eye open on the chat. What is your answers? Why is employee engagement important? I'm not seeing anybody responding yet. So is it important? Is it important in your organization? Yeah, higher productivity, it drives performance. Yeah, definitely. Let's wait for 1 or 2 more. Let's share with one another. We are all HR professionals. The employee is the internal customer. Yeah, definitely for that. Boost creativity. I like that answer. Yeah, please keep the answers going. But if we look from a statistics point of view, let me just go back here. Okay, the stats do not lie that employee engagement has a direct impact on the bottom line. And the reason I'm going to go to this, because it came through quite a lot today, and I'm going to answer this right at the end of my presentation, is in a situation where funding for HR initiatives are limited, if there's a cost-cutting process happening inside the business, if profits in the business is not growing, how do we get more money for HR and for HR tech and for all this type of initiatives? And yes, where the solution is going to come in, I'm going to talk about the step right last, is that we have so much information already shows that employee engagement has a direct impact on the bottom line. Companies with a high employee engagement are 21% more profitable. It was from a PwC study. So if you spend money on getting your employees engaged, the return on investment is a 21% better profit than companies that's not. I'm going to go through a couple of more. 10% increase in customer ratings. 41% lower absenteeism if you are employee engaged. Strong employee engagement culture enjoy 30 to 50% higher retention rates. Highly engaged organization, and if you're in manufacturing, has a 40% fewer quality defects. And highly engaged organizations have an average of 20% higher sales or not. So why employee engagement is important, and this is what your C-suite and your board of directors need to understand, is that what HR is doing on an employee engagement point of view is not just fluffy things like productivity, it shows you, and all these things. There's a direct impact on bottom line. Happy employees are productive employees. Productive employees make more profit. Productive employees stay longer. Productive employees are less absent. Productive employees have more sales. Productive employees make less mistakes at work. And this is what is important. But then COVID happened. So I think from an HR point of view in Africa, what we saw is a lot of people went into employee engagement, right? They had some initiatives, but a lot of those initiatives for employee engagement was almost exclusively relied on in-person activities. So it was social activities, it might be some form of reward or recognition, there might have been an upgrade in the canteen, there might be internal meetings with executives, etc., etc. But a lot of these things were almost exclusively in person. Then COVID happened, and all of a sudden, HR's ability to really inspire and engage with the employees, that link was broken. So all of a sudden, HR sitting in their home, the employees sitting in their home, everybody is all across. The line manager is getting frustrated because that team feeling, you know that coffee chat, the discussions and the relationship building outside of work that used to happen in office environment was gone. So for example, you go to the kitchen, make yourself a coffee, your colleague is there. A lot of the time you don't talk about work, you talk about family, you maybe talk about the Formula One or the football or something. So those things were totally away. So now all of a sudden, the ability for HR to engage with the employees past COVID and in a hybrid work, that you can't do it in person anymore. So next question I want to ask you. So based on what I said now, in your organization, what was the biggest impact that COVID had on your workplace, especially when it comes to engagement? What was the biggest impact or biggest challenge that came from you? I'm going to go into the chat again. So what was the biggest impact in your organization? Like I said, guys, we're going to make it a nice interactive session today. So let's take a look at what was the biggest impact in your organization for COVID, especially in employee engagement. What happened? I don't know if it's coming through slowly, but it seems like there was no impact at all in your organizations. It seems like everybody handled COVID, no issues. Okay, I don't see any responses coming through. Yeah. Okay, I just want to check panelists. Tayo, you guys can still hear me, right? Ah, here we go. HR became the focal point of work. Work timing was affected. Yes, definitely. There's motivating staff. So Margaret, we've seen it a lot. When I spoke with the HR director, when we started working with him for Nike South Africa, that was a big thing. It's the motivation of staff. It was a big thing. So definitely that was a big impact that COVID had on organizations. But let me unpack or almost summarize what we've seen. Is because, or everybody has spoken about it today and yesterday, is that the future world of work, that future that we thought was going to happen in 5 to 10 years' time, was accelerated by COVID and became the current world of work. So the first impact is we're never going to go back to the old ways of work. So we've spoken about this in depth. I'm not going to hammer on this today, but basically we're in a hybrid world of work. So there's blended staff, people working from home, people working from the office, even your perm employees are not in the office at the same time, but you have freelancers now, you've got contractors, so it's a whole blended type of environment. So the impact of that is that the successful execution of many HR functions are now more challenging than ever before. If you think onboarding people, multiple sites across the country, let's say you're in Nigeria and you've got 20 or 30 sites in a retail store or some manufacturing out there. If you think onboarding was difficult pre-COVID, is even more difficult in COVID. Learning and development, employee engagement, it's just much more difficult now to execute that successfully. So that's one of the main impacts. what we saw that came out quite clearly, and I saw that a comment from somebody earlier regarding virtual onboarding and why it's not successful, especially with your Gen Zs and so forth, is that employee engagement in HR is social and not just digital. So what happened is a lot of organizations wasn't totally digitized, but then came COVID, we all bought digitized tools, we all had MS Teams or Zoom or something to talk with our employees. We started digitizing some HR processes and we think, now we're engaging. But we quickly saw that communication and administration is not the same as inspiration and motivation. So HR is as much about the social interaction with employees than it is about the administration. So your remote HR currently has got one major flaw, even if it's digitized, is that once you've completed the form or your video meetings are done, social interaction between employees are maybe limited to online chat. So it's a very big thing. And we're going to talk about how to address that in future. And then, of course, your enhanced employee experience are now a must-have. Your employees are now used to an enhanced user experience when they do online shopping. They are used to an enhanced online experience when they entertain themselves via Netflix or Amazon Prime, or when they play mobile games online. So they use that type of experience, and they are more and more expecting the same type of user experience from the companies by default from HR that they're getting from other services. So once again, digitization is not the same. And we found that true employee engagement, we cannot rely only on HR systems such as SAP SuccessFactors or Oracle or Workday, because the administration is perfect. Those are excellent systems. Please don't underestimate what I'm saying. From a back end, they are great. From an administration point, they are great. But from an employee front end, employee engagement point of view, they are 2D, they are boring, they're text-based, they're form-based. It's not the inspiration that you would need to really engage employees in a hybrid world of work. Okay, so now that I've talked about that, let's look a bit into the future. So those of you that might have followed news and everything, with the whole push into metaverse, Facebook is doing a metaverse, Nike's got a metaverse, everybody's got a metaverse. What is your understanding as an HR professional about the metaverse? If you have to explain, if somebody comes to you and say, hi, can you explain to me what's a metaverse? What answer would you give to them? What do you guys think is a metaverse? I'm just waiting for the questions to go through. Metaverse, Yomi, thank you. It's a digital world. Yeah, so metaverse, it's a digital world, great. So we're converting the world into something digital. Yeah, definitely. Anybody else want to venture? What do they think the metaverse is all about? It's definitely digital. A digitized social world. Stella, thank you so much for that. Yes, it's a digitized social world. Perfect. So I think you are anticipating already why I'm going to. A virtual ecosystem for interaction, business communication. Beautiful. Okay, perfect. So I think you guys are already understanding where we are, where I'm going with this. Is that if people are pushing, and I'm talking about non-HR, if our colleagues in sales and our colleagues in marketing are understanding that users out there want to enhance user experience and they're pushing into the metaverse, yeah? So let's understand why this is happening. So if you really go and speak to people about the metaverse, exactly what it is, we don't really know. What you guys are saying is perfect. What we know, it's digitized, it's social, there's some form of interaction, and it's 3D. So first, let's get a metaverse is non-2D anymore, it's total 3D. So it's a 3D, almost replication of real life. But while we don't know, we know why metaverses are building. And this is the fact. Work from home. Over 50% of workers globally now report that they work outside of the main office at least 2.5 days a week. So now we've got this blended workforce, okay? So now people are spending more time with online tools. and the online tools are getting better and better and better. Secondly, demographics are changing. Millennials will, by 2025, millennials will comprise 3/4 of the global workforce. So millennials and younger, those are the people that they grew up with mobile phones. They grew up with advanced user technology experiences. So because they grew up with that, they are very digital savvy, and they expect now the same type of user experience once they engage with the employer. Technology, so both computer chip technology and internet accessibility allow software developers to push the boundaries. I'm going to get to that a little bit later, right? Okay. And then, of course, the popularity of gaming. The gaming industry, if you guys don't know it yet, is 4 times bigger than the movie industry globally. That's how big gaming is. It means, and what this tells us, it means that your millennials and Gen Zs and younger, when they choose to entertain themselves, very often they play games, whether it's a mobile game, whether it's a PlayStation game, but they spend time online playing games. Okay, so they're used to that type of environment. So user experience are becoming more and more important. Okay, so now we're getting to why you guys got me here, to say, okay, well, we understand that remote HR is making this very difficult for us. We are struggling to engage with the employees. We get that. Elmen, you didn't even have to tell us that. We are understanding that technology is moving into metaverses and so forth. So what is the practical thing for me? What does that practically mean for me? And I'm going to give you a couple of challenges, what you guys are facing now, and some tips on how to overcome them in using HR tech. Okay. So here's the first challenge, and I'm going to give you a tip and overcome them. From our interaction with clients, the first challenge that you need to overcome is that a lot of the time, the current HR skills in your HR team are not suited for the new world of work. Okay. We have seen multiple times, okay, if you try to push technology before people, you're going to create massive problems for you. It's always people before technology. So now this is probably quite ironic, yeah? You all guys are asking the tech specialists to come and say, how are we using tech inside our companies to boost engagement? And then the first thing I say is it's about skills. And the reason I'm saying this is that I have personally dealt over the past 3-4 years with various companies across Africa that have spent millions on upgrading HR tech, thinking that the tech alone will fix the employee engagement problem, or the tech alone would fix the HR problem. And they've quickly seen that the people that need to implement this technology, the people need to drive this technology, which is the HR team, they do not have the understanding and the skills necessary in this world of work to maximize this technology. So now they've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe even millions of dollars for this technology, but this technology is not maximized because the people that's supposed to use it do not have the skills and the understanding to maximize this technology. So the first thing that you need to do when you want to maximize HR tech for employee engagement is to ensure that your HR team has got the skills needed for the world of work. But what are these skills? So there's a lot of articles around this. I'm not going to go, I'm just going to summarize it for you. But from our point of view in the studies that we've done, we've seen that this is a type of skills that HR professionals would need. Digital literacy, advanced data analytics, commercial awareness, meaning understanding profit, loss, revenue, all that type of stuff, really how HR can impact the business. Critical thinking, not just administrative paper pushing, but really critical thinking, situational judgment, ethics, stakeholder engagement, and lastly, marketing. So marketing is you think it's very strange, but we need to, as HR people, need to think like marketing because we are communicating with the employees, right? Employee engagement equals communication engagement. Just like our marketing team is engaging with our clients for higher sales, we are engaging with our employees for high productivity, and a lot of those things are marketing skills. Very relevant. I'm going to get to the 2 skills that's most relevant. But based on what I've said over here, these skills in your organization and currently, okay, what skills do you think in your organization are you lacking the most? So you guys as HR need to confidently overcome the challenges of the new world of work, right? So what are, if you look at areas, I'm not talking necessarily about you as an individual, I'm talking about as a team. As an HR team in your organization, what skills do you think is lacking most to implement 4IR to really address a new world of work, post-COVID work, hybrid world of work? So let's see what's coming through. Okay. While the things are going through, and I'm sure my panelists will take a look at it. Still at digital literacy, we're also picking that up. Remember when we studied at any tertiary, and I'm talking about me included, I didn't have advanced courses on tech and marketing and things. Analytics, yes, it comes out a lot. Thank you so much, Victor. Okay, data analytics, yes, we are seeing the same thing over here. So if we look at these skills and you want to talk straight about your employee engagement, there are two main skills of what you mentioned now that you need to master in order to do employee engagement. The first thing is we're talking about is digital literacy, because if you want to maximize the use of HR tech and the software behind it, your HR personnel, everybody needs to understand what is hardware, what is software, what is a local area network, what is a wireless area network, what is a front end, what is a back end, what is user experience, what is user interaction, what is data processing, system integration, system automation. And the reason for this is because they're going to deal with these systems all the time. So whenever a user comes to them with a problem, they need to understand it. Whenever they want to enhance the system, they need to understand what is user experience and user interaction. They need to understand how data, bandwidth, like local area network, Wi-Fi, fiber, mobile connectivity, 4G, 5G, influences the user experience. So digital literacy is a big thing. And then marketing. If we want to engage with our employees, we need to get marketing skills like design thinking. When we implement HR tech, we need to think about the user first. How is the user going to experience this process? And then design the entire user process that it's highly engaging. Because a lot of time HR just thinks about the HR process, about the administration of it, right? So we think how we are going to tick these boxes, and then we think the process is fine. It is not, because you can tick all the boxes and your employee can still be disengaged. Okay, so design thinking, mobile first. Think about the user experience. Think about stuff like market segmentation. So our marketing people know about market segmentation, but you need to have employee segmentation and understand how that works so that you can personalize communication to the different employee segments and make them feel interesting and make them feel engaged. So therefore, my first step for you in maximizing technology to enhance employee engagement is that you need to invest in upskilling your entire HR team. Yeah. For employee engagement, there's a lot of other skills that we've mentioned, but specifically to employee engagement, advanced digital literacy, and the fundamentals of marketing. That is going to be quite important. Okay. Then let's get to challenge number 2. Okay. Interesting again. Now we're getting closer to the technology things, but this is still in the middle. What we are seeing is that one of the challenges when it comes to employee engagement is that very often your HR department is too dependent on the other departments in terms of tech data and communication engagement. So what do I mean by that? Is that your ICT department and your marketing department has got a core function, and HR falls underneath it. Now, I have seen this over and over again, and as an HR professional, I've always felt offended about it, but I understand because we are a support function, right? We are a support function. ICT and marketing will always focus on other departments. on assisting them first. And when they get time or when they have budget, then they'll get to HR. So HR has always been neglected. It's a fact. And I don't think this will ever change. Business will always focus on the core business, which is making profit and everything first. So with all due respect to my fellow IT colleagues, and as an HR tech specialist, I always deal with IT all the time. But when they make decisions about technology and data, they make decisions that's necessarily suited to them or the business, and they very rarely consult HR. And even when they consult HR, the final decision about technology and data always sits with the CIO and doesn't necessarily sit with the CHRO. Okay, so the impact is that other departments often get preference over better systems and better data. They've got better systems and data, and HR does not have the best systems. They don't have the best data integration, all the reports, all that type of stuff. And this is what we've seen in the past. And you see exactly the same with marketing. Your marketing department, they are focusing on talking with the consumer, talking with your clients, increasing profit, increasing engagement on social media and all that type of things. They often do not have the internal capacity then to help you with your internal communication and engagement campaigns. So what I've seen in many companies and heard from many HR directors and CHROs is that although they want to implement a lot of employee engagement strategies, because this needs highly developed campaign skills and communication skills and marketing skills, they're often very dependent on the skills that's inside the marketing department, and then it leads to a slow implementation of any HR intervention. And then even when attention is given, it's almost often as the marketing department tells HR what's to happen instead of HR telling the marketing department that what needs to happen. So I'm getting to my second tip over here, is that HR, if you want to use technology to engage with your users, okay, you need to start building internal capacity to help you manage your own tech and your own campaigns. So what I mean by that is you need to work with the CIO. I'm not saying it needs to happen in silo. So the previous speaker spoke about cross-functional teams, and we're all about cross-functional teams. But inside HR, you need to start thinking about building an HR tech function. Just like you've got, if you look at the employee life cycle, you've got a recruitment division maybe, or that's handled by the HR business partners. You've got a learning and development division. You've got a labor relations division. So you've got all the different divisions in HR. You need to start developing an HR tech and an HR data division. So depending on the size of your organization, it could be one person, it could be 5 people. But you need to start equipping and getting someone that understands tech that sits with you inside HR, which reports to the CHRO, not to the CIO, to the CHRO. The same thing happens with the employee engagement. You need to start building an employee engagement function internally and appoint a head of employee engagement. Again, depending on the size of your organization, this could be one person or it could be an entire team, but this person must have not just fundamentals of marketing, it must be a marketing person that has run marketing campaigns, that understand market segmentation and UI and UX and user experience and the rollout and social media and mass emails and all that type of stuff. But that needs to be internally. So my tip number 2 of maximizing technology to boost employee engagement is that you need to build internal capability to reduce your reliance on other business function. Okay, once again, do not work in a silo. So I'm not saying cut yourself off from the ICT department and cut yourself off from the marketing department. Those people are specialists. Work with them. Okay. You can, with people inside, you can build a cross-functional team and get people from the outside to assist you with your campaigns, assist you with your IT, but you need to take control of your own destiny. You can't be dependent on ICT anymore to get you the HR tech and to manage that HR tech that you need. You can't be reliant on marketing anymore to help you implement your employee engagement campaigns. You need to do it yourself. Okay. And then challenge number 3. I think we're making some good time. Let me look at the chat if there's any questions. General marketing, GM, all okay, got it. Okay, challenge number 3 is that, and this is where I'm coming to the comment made by one of the attendees earlier about that when it comes to virtual onboarding, because it's just digitized, that in-person engagement, that personal engagement, that emotional thing that's part of being human is lost if you just digital. So what is happening, and this is what I'm talking about, why I spoke about the metaverse, is that people are using more and more 3D business solutions to enhance their emotional experience. Because if you create a virtual world where people as avatars can interact with one another, it's not just a Teams meeting or Zoom meeting anymore, but outside the work meeting, they have their own universe, call it a HR metaverse, where they can interact with each other, where they can talk about non-work stuff, and they can build those social relationships that they would have built while they were in the office. Now, because of that, 2D HR solutions will become obsolete in 10 years. I'm not saying on the back end, I'm saying on the front end, but I'm going to get back, I'm going to get more into that. And this is just to natural evolution, this due to enhancement tech. So let me just go over a couple of things. Okay. So IBM launched a new computer chip last year. It's a 2 nanometer chip. And if you look at the current chips used in computers today, it's a 7 nanometer chip. So it's about 3 times smaller, but it's got 45% higher processing power. Okay. What this means in effect, that this new chip is 3 times faster than the current chips we've got in computers. Okay. If you look at Apple's latest M1 chipset, it's 3.5 times faster performance, meaning Apple, the latest phones are 3.5 times faster than the previous generation. It's got 6 times better graphics and 15 times faster in AI. So what we're seeing from a hardware point of view, more and more, all the new generation laptops that's coming through, the new generation mobile phones and smartphones coming through, the hardware is just becoming better and better so they can process data faster and they can process graphics faster. Okay, from a data point of view, and we all live in Africa, this is extremely important. Okay, sometimes when I speak with my colleagues in the first world, they really sometimes don't understand what is the challenge with data that we've got in Africa. But let's start off with EU. Okay, by the end of March 2021, so this was last year, 5G has been successfully rolled out in 24 EU countries already. Okay, 200 million people in the US already got access to 5G. If we look at November 2020, so that was what, 5-6 months ago, 303 million people in sub-Saharan Africa already got access to 4G. Okay, so we've got hundreds of million people that already got 4G access over the phone, and the processing power is getting better on the phone. And if you look at 5G rollout, South Africa just launched the spectrum now. So there's an estimated 11 people in South Africa will access to 5G in about 2-3 years' time. And then you see the stats for Latin America. So the reason why I'm saying this is that although Africa, when it comes to data rollout, for various reasons, are lagging behind the world, if we look at the progress that's been made on a year-to-year basis, you get tens of millions of people on an annual basis get more access to 4G data or more. So by the time we get to 2030, you're going to get 300 to 400, maybe even 500 million African people living in Africa that will have access to 5G mobile connectivity. So they'll have access to fast and cheap internet, and they'll have advanced mobile phones. What is going to happen? The user experience they're going to get from people outside of HR, from the games, from Netflix, from online shopping is going to get better and better. And they're going to start asking that type of user experience from HR and from the people internally. Okay. However, you must walk before you can run. And because we work with a lot of companies in Africa, we really understand that the whole HR digitalization transformation is still in the process. Okay. So firstly, if you want to go to advanced employee engagement using technology, your first phase must be digitalization. So most companies, especially to COVID, so before COVID, believe me, we still dealt with companies that had the majority of the HR processes were paper-based. But now post-COVID, almost all African companies have started investing in some form of digitization. But you need to complete your digitization transformation 100%. The second phase is process automation, yeah? Because from a user experience, a user don't want to type in the same information everywhere. They don't want, if they applying in your applicant tracking system, give all their personal details. Then they get, they apply, or they become an employee, they need to give you all their details again for payroll. Then they want to go on training and they need to type in all their details again in learning management system. Then they exit, and they don't want that. They want the same type of process automation they're experiencing in outside of HR. So then you need to do process automation, and then you focus on the user experience. Okay. So if I have to ask you guys, and now before I'm going to get into 3D and that type of things, if you have to say, where are you with your digital HR digitization, digital transformation? Where are you currently? Are you saying, if I look at all my HR process, the entire HR life cycle, from application and recruitment to onboarding to payroll, learning development, employee engagement with my surveys, performance management, labor relations, everything. If I have to look at all of that, where are you currently in your digital transformation? It's 50% or less digitized. Are you saying, no, man, I've made a lot of progress, it's at least over 50% or over 75%? Or are your organization already 100% complete with your HR digitization process? So let's see what the people are saying here. Stella and Toby, please, you say it's below 50%. You are in very good company. There's a lot of people that's still in that same position. Yeah. So don't lose motivation. Keep the faith. Move from 50% to 60 and go through that process. Is there anybody else that's maybe a bit higher? 5 more minutes, please. Oh, snap. Okay. Okay, so let's quickly go through some of the stuff, and then I need to take questions. Ooh, let me close this. I need to go through a couple of stuff quickly. So this is the process you need for your phase 1 digitization. This is just I'm going to share the slides afterwards, okay? So that you guys can have it. But the last thing that I want to mention is the new international trend about moving into 3D metaverses. So what we have seen that replicating the mechanics of HR processes is not the challenge, right? It's the human part. So like the attendee I mentioned, to digitize onboarding, not a problem. But to create that same emotional experience is a challenge. And that is why in a hybrid working environment, you need to start investing in 3D front ends. Because when you've got a 3D metaverse, a 3D front end, where you can put gamification principles such as exploration and badges and achievement and all that type of stuff, you start unlocking human emotions. You start unlocking social interaction outside of the workplace, inside of your HR software, that just it takes your employee engagement to the next level. 3D is simply just vastly superior. If you don't want to believe me, do yourself a favor, even if you're not a gamer, go download a couple of 3D mobile games today on your phone. Then you play a 3D game versus a 2D game. Or look at a gamified game and compare that to your current onboarding process. And then you can see digitization, once you 3Dify everything, it just takes everything to the next level. Okay. So what I'm saying here in my tip number 3 is that you need to complete your digital transformation. Yes. Okay. But while you're at it, so even if you are below 50%, you can actually leapfrog your competitors by starting to implement some 3D elements while you're digitizing. You don't have to complete the full digitization transformation 100% before you start thinking about 3D. You can do that already. So it's a parallel process. So you can start developing that type of things. Okay, there's a couple examples that I'll send over to you. This is the last thing I want to say. Sorry, if you can give me 2 minutes, then I'll take 1 or 2 questions. Okay, I've heard this so many times today. Okay, budget. There's no budget. Our companies are struggling. How am I going to get money? Elmen, it's so cool that you say we need to do 3D, but how am I going to get the money? It's cool that you say we need to digitize, but how are we going to make the money? And the answer here is that you need to build a business case for the investment in HR tech. So again, let's go back to this. You remember I showed you these stats, okay? These are stats that show you the bottom line. So what you then do, you take the statistics, you build a business case that you send to your C-suite, that you send to your board of directors, where you show them the monetary value of what would happen if employee engagement increases your profit by 10%. Okay, that's the impact it could have. How much money you can save if you decrease absenteeism by 20%, or how much money you save on recruitment and training if you improve retention by 20%, or how much cost you can save in a manufacturing environment if you reduce quality defects by 20%, or if you've got employee engagement happening and your revenue increases by 10%. So now you can show in monetary value, Mr. CEO, Mr. CFO, if we increase employee engagement, I can make us an extra $10 million US profit a year. Then you use that statistics and you build a business case. So you say, I'm not asking for $10 million. I'm asking for $500,000 for now. I'm gonna do A, B, and C for now. And you start with a project with low-hanging fruit and maximum business impact. What would then happen? You would reach those goals and you'll show your return on investment. Once you show your return on investment, then your CFO and CEO will give you more money, and then you rinse and repeat. So this is how you get budget. You use the statistics I just gave you, build a business case, get a small budget, use that budget, show return on investment, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Okay? So in summary, if you want to maximize technology for employee engagement, tip number 1, invest in upskilling your team. Tip number 2, build internal capacity and less reliance on other functions. Tip number 3, leapfrog your competitors by introducing 3D already. And then tip number 4, build the business case for investment in HR tech, get the money, implement these things, rinse and repeat, and that's how you become a legend. Okay, I think I'm on time now. The previous speaker was 5 minutes over, so please, if I can have 5 minutes for question answers, I'll really appreciate that. So it's over to you guys. Any questions that I can answer?
Thank you, Elmen. That's an awesome presentation. Well, we'll just be able to take just a question.
Okay.
Let me just look through to see which will be the most appropriate to ask. So I'll go with, in some parts of Africa, electricity is such a huge challenge that companies spend more on providing electricity allowance for their remote workforce. Don't you feel this will greatly impact on the penetration of 3D to digital interaction within Africa? Yeah.
Thank you so much for that question. And boy, this is why I love Africa, yeah? Because we have just more challenges that a lot of other areas experience. But because of that, that is why Africans through the entire continent, we are more creative, we are more resilient, we are more problem solving than a lot of other regions across the world. Is because we are struggling with these things. I mean, a lot of areas in the world, we sit in New York, you might not have electricity challenges. So it's very easy to talk about 3D and all that type of stuff over there, while you have this type of challenges in Africa. So it's going to be a challenge. I mean, you can't get around it. Meaning, what I'm saying here is that any hybrid working environment, if people are working from home, you're going to need electricity. So will it have an impact? Yes. And it will slow down the 3D penetration levels. So 100% correct, it will. But I mean, if you need to engage with a employee working from home, technology is the only way that you can successfully do that, and will be reliant on data and electricity. So hopefully all our governments, I mean, in South Africa, we've got load shedding and all that type of stuff, as also we understand the challenge in South Africa as well. So hopefully our governments will help us with that type of process, but at least let you control the stuff that's within your control. You can't control what electricity and bandwidth you have, but at least you can control what is within your sphere of influence. Yeah. So maybe focus on that. And then as other stuff improve, at least we'll be ready for that. That's all I can say about that question now.
Awesome. What you can actually do is go into the question and answer chat box and answer the questions, the remaining questions, and then we can share with the audience.
I will do so.
Very much, Elmen.
It's a pleasure.
Insightful and insightful presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.